The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. LaMalfa, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, the House will vote to decide whether to overturn another bad decision by President Biden. His veto of House Joint Resolution 27, which overturned the EPA's and Army Corps of Engineers' overreaching waters of the United States, and yet another rule change to that law, keeps the new expanded definition of WOTUS in place. This change to one of the most abused and litigated federal statutes on the books allows the EPA to regulate every single ditch, every little puddle, every ephemeral stream in America as if they were somehow the Mississippi River or the Sacramento River in my home state. Of course, it's ludicrous, as our nation's commerce, agriculture, and natural beauty are not dependent on a farmer's self-made ditch or irrigation canal or these ephemeral streams. With the expanded WOTUS rule, the federal government can now regulate almost any activity from farming to landscaping that occurs on private property. Treating Americans' private property sacrosanct has been a core principle of this nation for over 2 centuries. Our founders would be horrified to see a United States government agency headquartered here in Washington, D.C., granting itself broad power to regulate every single American on their own land. We've seen the EPA abuse WOTUS before to regulate everything from farming to home building. Ridiculous interpretations on whether you can even plant a fallow field back to a wheat crop that previously had one without a permit that often can take 3 years because there's no motivation from Army Corps or the other regulators to get the job done, and tell the farmer, yes, you may farm your ground the way you did it once before. They sue them for it, they fine them, and basically put them out of business over a farming activity that has occurred. And another example is a couple that's being sued for over WOTUS, and that it's being used as a weapon to prevent a married couple from building their dream home near the shore of a lake, all within the rules. I guarantee you, when the Clean Water Act, when the entire Environmental Protection Act were passed in the early 70s by this Congress, they did not have the intent, nor would they have gotten away with passing legislation that would have been so far-reaching as this. These are about, yes, clean water. They were about protecting species and some of the habitat for them. Not every possible piece of ground in the world that might host one, even though they don't currently. They would not have been able to pass this Congress because people would have run them out of here on a rail. Yet, through court interpretations over time, rulemaking, guidances, this is where we've gotten to. The administration and the previous Democrat administration have been hyper-aggressive on putting waters of the United States rules in place that have little to do with the measurement used to be if it was a navigable stream. Well, navigable used to mean you could actually drive a boat up and down that particular river or what have you. Now, if you can float a rubber duck in it for a half hour after a rain in a pond or a stream or what have you, then they seem to believe that should be a good enough definition for navigable waterways. It's ridiculous, and with the increasing costs of food to Americans and less food choices on our shelves, even empty shelves in this country, this is the move they make to restore to previous aggressive limits the waters of the United States and take away the ability to farm our products already safely, already reliably, already ecologically sound. This is not needed under the Biden interpretation or the previous Obama interpretation. These are property rights and these are land rights that are a cornerstone of our country's founding. And indeed, it's a way to take more control and put Washington, D.C. and put bureaucrats in greater charge of things that used to be good rural issues, rural values that are keeping food on the table for Americans, thereby positioning us to be independent of having to import food, keeping us strong. Food is strategic. Food is a security issue. And we're seeing our security dissipate rapidly under the weight of crazy regulations like this and others that are so negatively affecting our ability to produce energy in this country. WOTUS is used to stop that too. If we don't produce our own energy, what are we going to import more of it from the Saudis or other areas? We've seen these embargoes twice in our past. It doesn't work very well. Energy is the core for everything in a civilized society. As we see our energy dissipating in domestic production,
Gentleman's time
we're
has
seeing
expired.
the high cost of everything. So WOTUS needs to be repealed, and I hope the House does that today. I yield back.
The chair now